Like, comment, share, subscribe, hit the bell notification if you want to be notified. What is going on today? Tonight is fight night. We've got Jaime Munguía going up against John Ryder. I mean, look, man, this is a statement fight for Jaime Munguía. What's Jaime Munguía gonna do to push for that Canelo Alvarez fight? Because that is the talks around town. But first of all, we're gonna get into these fight predictions because that's what we come for. We come for the locks of the night. And, you know, we're going to talk about these three fights. We got Oscar Collazo going up against Reyneris Gutierrez. And that fight right there is a Puerto Rican versus Nicaraguan. Oscar Collazo, who's 8-0 with 6 KOs, 27 years old, 5'2", 61-inch arm reach. He's a southpaw. And he's standing at a minus 3,000. Now, Reyneris Gutierrez is 10-1 with 2 KOs, 28 years old, orthodox fighter, and sitting at a plus 1,400. Now, this is his first fight, first time fighting in America. This is his first fight in America. And all his fights have gone the distance for Reyneris Gutierrez. The loss went the distance. Now, this Oscar Collazo kid is obviously the guy that they're pushing for. He's sitting at a minus 3,000. This Reyneris Gutierrez guy, nobody really knows too much about him, but this dude is obviously a KO machine, right? We're talking about 8-0 with 6 KOs. So, what is it telling us? Okay, let's look at the odds. The odds is saying over 6.5 rounds is at a plus 100. Under 6.5 rounds is at a minus 135. Collazo by decision is a plus 380, and Collazo by knockout is at a minus 600. For this fight to go the distance, it's sitting at a plus 380. Now, the odds might have changed overnight because this research was obviously done last night. But if I'm looking at this fight right here, I'm going to go for that over 6.5 rounds at plus 100 just because I like it. Now, Reyneris Gutierrez is obviously, you don't know too much about him. It's his first time fighting in the United States of America. He's from Nicaragua. He's been fighting there. He's been going the distance with guys out there. It's very well impossible this dude's going to come into the ring tonight and get knocked the fuck out. This very well impossible. Oscar Collazo is 8-0 with 6 KOs. He's knocked out almost all his opponents. You know, so Oscar Collazo, 27 years old. Reyneris Gutierrez, 28 years old. He still got time. But Reyneris Gutierrez is not getting a knockout tonight. He only has 2 knockouts out of 10 fights with 1 loss. Oscar Collazo, it can very much well go in this fight and knock this dude the fuck out in the first round, second round, third round. I'm going to put money on it. But I like the over 6.5 rounds because Reyneris Gutierrez has shown that he can go the distance. He's shown that. He's gone the distance in 10-round fights. This fight, I believe, is going 12. No, it's going 10, I believe. Anyways, I still feel that this is a good value at plus 100. Now, Collazo by knockout is at a minus 600. Him to win, just straight up, is at a minus 3,000 for him to win, straight up. You could take that safe bet and go with Collazo by knockout just to parlay at a minus 600, and I'm not mad at it. It's just high ass odds. If we trying to get if you trying to get a $5 to hit for 100, a 10 to hit for 200, you gotta try to get those odds that is obviously gonna favor you in the long run. And I think looking at these two fighters, yes, Golden Boy, yes, Oscar Collazo is the one getting pushed, you know what I'm saying? And he's the one that gets the KOs. But Reyneris Gutierrez has never shown that he can get knocked out. He's 10-1, never been knocked out, and he's gone the distance in each of his fights. Now, think about this. We're talking about all his fights go the distance, but it's his first time fighting in America as well. So I'm not mad if you decide, hey, I want to go for a KO on Collazo to get the KO. Because it makes sense, right? It's his first time in the US. He's never fought anybody but Nicaraguan fighters. And the one time that he traveled and went to Australia, he lost that fight by unanimous decision. So if we're talking about what's gonna be the best bang for your buck, I like the over 6.5 rounds at plus 100. Why the fuck not? You know what I'm saying? Throw a little something on this parlay that I'm about to give you. But next up, after that, we're going to have Gabriela Fundora. Y'all already know, the Towering Inferno's sister. And going up against Christina Cruz. Now, Gabriela Fundora is 12-0 with 5 KOs. She's a southpaw, 5'9", a 41% knockout ratio. She's 21 years old. This is a 10-round fight. All right. And Christina Cruz is 6-0 with 0 KOs. She's an orthodox fighter standing at 5'5", 41 years old. Yes, 41 years old. Yes, 6-0 with 0 KOs at 41 years old. Fucking believe it? Can you believe it? Okay. This is Cruz's first 10-round fight. That's going to be a 10-round fight. Gabriela Fundora, for me, I'm taking, look, Gabriela Fundora is at a minus 2,000. Christina Cruz is at a plus 1,000. For me, yes, women's boxing is fucking boring. I mean, it is like the worst. It's like watching, fucking paint dry. You know what I'm saying? But for me, to be honest, Fundora is sitting by knockout at plus 220. Fundora by decisions at minus 250. And over 8.5 rounds is at minus 450. So if I'm looking at this, I'm giving Fundora the benefit of the doubt, and I think we're gonna fucking finally see a woman knockout. You know what I'm saying? Because women don't get knockouts like that, right? We obviously know this. But standing at 5'9", 21 years old against a 41-year-old 5'5" chick, I got Fundora possibly getting a KO tonight, and because there's no way she's a co-main event and she's not gonna get a knockout. Come on, who's gonna make a woman the co-main event and she's not gonna come in and get a knockout or make a statement to try to get herself in position for another big fight to line herself up? Come on, let's be honest. So I think the brother Fundora is gonna go in there. She possibly is gonna get a knockout at plus 220. I like it. She only has 5 knockouts out of 12 fights, but fuck it, why not? She's southpaw too. Southpaw get orthodox fighters trouble. This lady is 41 years old, Christina Cruz, and she 5'5". She's she has 0 knockouts, 0 knockouts. I'm going Gabriela Fundora here. I'm lighting it up. I like Fundora by knockout. Give me Fundora by knockout. Why not? At plus 220. So right now I got over 6.5 rounds plus 100. Fundora by knockout plus 220. And then we get to the main event. Main event tonight. Jaime Munguía, John Ryder. Jaime Munguía, John Ryder. Jaime Munguía has to make a statement. I can't stress this much. I can't stress this shit out more. Right? 42-0 with 33 KOs. 27 years old, 6 foot, sitting at a minus 400. Orthodox fighter. 78% knockout ratio. John Ryder, 32 fights, 6 losses, 18 KOs, 35 years old, 72-inch arm reach, 5'9". But he's a southpaw. You know, he's a southpaw. 56% knockout ratio. In Ryder's last 5 fights, we have Canelo, which he lost by unanimous decision. Zach Parker, which he won by technical decision. Daniel Jacobs, he beat Daniel Jacobs by split decision. Joseph Jarko got the win by TKO. And Mike Guy win by unanimous decision. So he got only guys, he won 3, he won 4, lost 1. He's 4-1 in his last 5 fights, right? And 3 of those names are pretty credible, even though he lost to Canelo Alvarez via unanimous decision and got knocked down, but still, it's very credible fight. Munguia's last fight is Derevchenko. He won unanimous decision. Gonzalo Gaston Correa, he won by knockout. Jimmy Kilran Kelly won by knockout. Demetrius Ballard won by TKO. And Gabe Rosado won by unanimous decision. Now, mind you, he gave Demetrius Ballard his first loss. His first loss, and the first time he's ever been knocked out. But if I'm looking at resumes, I'm taking John Ryder all day in this. Look, Jaime Munguía is at a minus 400. John Ryder's at a plus 300. If I'm looking for somebody to lose tonight, it's going to be Jaime Munguía. That is going to be who's going to lose tonight, right? If I'm saying, if I'm looking at this paper right now and I got Gabriela Fundora, Christina Cruz, I know Gabriela Fundora is going to come out with a victory. Oscar Collazo, Rainiers Gutierrez, I know Oscar's going to come out with a victory, right? And if I'm looking at the dark horse of these matchups, I'm looking at Jaime Munguía at a minus 400 and John Ryder at a plus 300. Resume alone is telling me that John Ryder is more experienced at 35 years old. And in his last 5 fights, he's fought bodies. Which Munguia, for real, when he went up to 168 pounds, he fought Dervinchenko, got the unanimous decision, not the KO. See what I'm saying? So if I'm going to bet something here, because we have over 10 and a half rounds to go minus 225, a knockdown in a fight by any fighter get knocked down is at a minus 125, and John Ryder to be knocked down is at a plus 125. The total knockdowns are being over 1.5, so there has to be 2 knockdowns in the fight. It's sitting at a plus 400. What I really like is John Ryder to be knocked down at a plus 125. And I tell you that because Munguia has power, right? He has power. He's at 168 pounds. John Ryder's been down. He is no stranger to going down. He's been dropped before. He's even been knocked out before. So if I'm looking at this, I'm not betting anything close to that money line. I'm not even looking at that money line. That money line is non-existent because it's sketchy. Because you could have a John Ryder that's going to come in and just pull the upset, right? But if I'm looking at this money line, I like John Ryder to be knocked down at a plus 125 any moment in the fight. That's I think the best bang for your buck. And if you want to take it more, a knockdown to be happening in the fight at minus 125. But I highly doubt that John Ryder will be the one to knock down anybody. Now, total knockdowns over 2, that's very intriguing at a plus 400. And I like that. I honestly do like that because we've seen it happen. But that's a little bit more kind of sketchy, right? So I'm taking on one parlay, one of my parlays. I'm gonna do two, and one is gonna be a all plus money, and this is what that parlay is gonna be. Over 6.5 rounds in the Collazo versus Gutierrez fight at a plus 100. Gabriela Fundora by knockout sitting at plus 220, and John Ryder to be knocked down at plus 125. We're looking at a plus 1,340, and $10 will get you 144. Now, I like that. I think that if you're gonna take a little risk, take small risk. You know what I'm saying? Because it is what it is. You know, these are possible outcomes throughout the fight. Now, in that second parlay, what I'm really liking is Oscar Collazo to win by knockout at a minus 600. Gabriela Fundora to win by decision at minus 250. And uh shit, I mean for the John Ryder and Jaime Munguia fight, over 10.5 rounds at minus 225. Now, this is what we gotta see. Is Jaime Munguia gonna be able to come in and not upset John Ryder, make a statement against John Ryder? We've seen Canelo Alvarez hurt John Ryder and did not get him out of there. Is Jaime Munguia gonna come in and knock his ass out? That's what I'm wondering. I'm wondering if Jaime Munguia is gonna be able to get the job done against John Ryder and actually pull one out. But I like John Ryder to be knocked down at plus 125 because of the fact that Munguia could possibly knock this dude out. Now, if he knocks the dude out, you know, you win money. You know what I'm saying? So John Ryder to be knocked down at plus 125 is my favorite. Is my favorite of the night. Could John Ryder lose? I mean, could Jaime Munguia lose this fight? 100%. This is the dark horse of the night. John Ryder sitting at plus 300. Jaime Munguia sitting at minus 400. You would think Jaime Munguia is a way bigger favorite. And John Ryder just came off of a loss. Jaime Munguia hasn't impressed. Jaime Munguia is one of the fighters that a lot of people have a lot of doubts about because of his resume. I mean, I read his last 5 fights, and to be honest, from those names, you really only know Gabe Rosado and Dermanchenko. You know, out of Ryder's last 5 fights, you know Canelo, Zach Parker, Daniel Jacobs, for sure. I don't know, so other than that, like Jerko and Mike Guy, you know what I'm saying? It's very different. But other than that, I think I like this parlay right here. Over 6.5 rounds, Colazo Gutierrez. The simple fact that I like going against that odd, I think that Rhaenyra Gutierrez is gonna come in. I don't know the kid from a can of paint, but look, when you got a fighter, he goes the distance all the time. You know, so he has good stamina, is what it's telling me, right? Is he gonna be able to take the shots that Oscar Collazo is gonna be able to bring to the table? That's to see. You know, he's 8-0 with 6 KOs. You know, so we'll definitely be keeping an eye on that. And it's his first time fighting in America for Rhaenyra Gutierrez. Possibly could get knocked out, and that be his night. You know what I'm saying? Under 6.5. But I like the over 6.5, and I like Gabriela Fundora to win by knockout, and I like John Ryder to be knocked down in that fight, and that's why I'm taking those risks. I think Jaime Munguia pulls one out tonight. I think that he possibly gets a knockdown and gets knockout and gets the statement that fans are looking for, and I think that Gabriela Fundora possibly gets the knockout because of the fact that I think that she has a lot to show being co-main event. Christina Cruz is 6-0, and did I mention she was 41 years old? You know what I'm saying? So I feel like she has to come out and get a knockout. Oscar Collazo and Rhaenyra Gutierrez, little tougher fight to really gauge and really compare because there's very little stuff on Rhaenyra Gutierrez, you know. So it's very little things, and you can't really pull them up and just watch them. But I know Oscar Collazo is being pushed by the network, so I'm looking at these odds and I'm thinking, yeah, I think that over 6.5 is fun for me. I like it, you know, but hey, this fight could very well be Collazo getting a KO at minus 600. You know what I'm saying? Just to get the crowd hyped up for that co-main event. You know, because women's boxing is a little flaky, so you never know. You know, you just never know. Anything could happen. Um, but I'm comfortable and I'm confident in my picks tonight. I like them. You know, very well. None of this shit can happen, but it's a slow week of boxing, you know, at the end of the day. And you have to understand that these aren't like the greatest fights to really predict and shit. These aren't the greatest fights. So I'm excited for them. But these aren't like the top tier fights. You know what I mean? And I feel like this is where you could either make or lose your money because these are lower key fights, and a lot of shit can happen within these fights, right? Because you got a Jaime Munguia has to come out and make a statement, but John Ryder might very well come out and try to make a statement himself. You know what I'm saying? He's not a far off underdog. You know what I mean? So very well we could see a Jaime Munguia take a loss tonight. With Gabriela Fundora, they're more low key. Women's boxing is more low key, and a lot of fans aren't into that kind of stuff. So I think that she has to show the fans that she's worthy enough to be a co-main event. And Colossus just got to be trying to get uh pushed harder from the network. So he has to fight hard tonight. And we could possibly very well see knockout after knockout after knockout tonight. Slower week of boxing. Next week's gonna be better though. But you got my parlay, man, and I like it. I like it. I like it. I think it wins. Something on there is it's a winner for sure. You take those odds, you put them, and you turn up the dial, and we gonna eat the night, man. That's the locks for tonight, man. Over 6.5 rounds. Colazo Gutierrez, Gabriela Fundora by KO, and Ryder to be knocked down throughout the fight. Like, comment, share, subscribe, and we out, man. Peace.